welcome back to my channel. My name is Jackie and today I am here to do my January 2020 book haul. So it is the beginning of the year and it's time to do my first book haul of 2020, the new year, the new decade. I am really excited about basically all these books I have in this haul today. In January I tried to not buy as many books throughout the month because school's gonna be starting up. Actually, the day you guys are seeing this video is the day that classes start for me, and I'm not gonna be reading a ton once that starts up, and I have other things going on that I have to make more of a priority over reading this year, so I didn't want to buy a ton of books, and I am planning on going on a book buying ban at some point. With that said, I did get 8 books in January, and I only bought one of them full price. The other ones are used books, or they were gifts, or I have a couple from subscription boxes and one for the author. So without me rambling on any further, let's jump right in and get started. So the first book that I bought in the month of January is going to be The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. Now, if you guys have been following my channel for the past couple of years, you might be a little bit surprised that I picked this book up. And that's because I read The Night Circus back in 2017. I gave it 1 star. It is the worst book I have ever read. But I picked this up because I wanted to give Erin Morgenstern one last shot. I adore this flowery writing style that many magical realism stories like Strange Dreamer, The Night Circus have. But that writing style just doesn't work for me in books, if that makes any sense. I love it, but the story doesn't translate well in my brain. Am I making sense? I have absolutely no idea. And when I read The Night Circus, that was the big issue, or one of the major issues besides the plot. And again, since I read The Night Circus, I've read books like Strange Dreamer. I didn't like that, DNF'd it. It has the same kind of writing style as The Night Circus does. But again, I wanted to give this one a chance and see if Erin Morgenstern can redeem herself after what happened with The Night Circus. This is YA fantasy. It follows a young boy who finds this magical book, and as he is reading it, his life story starts being told in the book. There's something called The Starless Sea, and that's all I know. Again, I'm giving this author a second chance. I really hope this is a lot better than The Night Circus. I really have my hopes up for this one. Next, we have a few books that I ended up getting for school. So the first one of those is actually a book I've already read, and that is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. This is a book I read in the 8th grade, so that was almost 10 years ago now. It's also one of my favorite books of all time, and I don't think I need to explain what the story is about. It's a classic. If you guys read it in middle school or high school, you know what the story is about, and I adored it when I read it back then, and I think I'm going to still love it to this very day, so I'm really excited to read it. Next, I have The Giver by Lois Lowry. This is another classic story that many kids read in their school years. I didn't happen to read it, but it's a very beloved story. It is a dystopian story. It follows our main character who is living in this more utopian society. And that's basically all I know. It's very short, and yeah, I don't know much else about it. I'm really excited to pick it up because I know this is a very beloved book, so I hope you love it as well. And the last book that I ended up picking up for class is going to be Enchanted Hunters by Maria Tatar. This is a kind of collection of fairy tales and like the mythology behind them and why children might like them growing up, and kind of their darker sides that we as kids learning about these stories didn't know, but now as adults we see. I'm probably explaining this horribly, but again, this is for my class that I'm taking, my children's literature class. I'm really excited to dive into this one and read more about the fairy tales that I read growing up. I have a book that was sent to me for review by the author, and that is Requiem Changing Tides by R.J. Parker. So thank you so much to the author for sending me a copy. This is a pretty chunky fantasy novel. It's YA, and it follows 2 characters who are just like having a normal day in their lives, and then they are attacked by an imp, and they're followed by a strange man, and that's all I'm getting for the synopsis. It sounds really interesting. Hopefully I can fly through it, and thank you again to the author for sending me a copy. 3 books I got in subscription boxes. So I'm going to start off with my January 2020 Allocrate book, and I will go ahead and link my unboxing on the screen for you guys. And that book is Scavenge the Stars by Tara Sim. This is a book I literally know nothing about other than it has a revenge plot, which is something I love in books, and that's it. Like, revenge plot, sign me up. The last couple books came in my December 2019 Fairy box. I ended up getting it at the very beginning of January, so I figured I would include them in this haul. The first one of those is 8 Will Fall, and this is the reverse dust jacket with the artwork on the outside. This one is a YA fantasy, but it has some sci-fi elements, following our main character who can read minds, and she falls prey to an evil force lurking below the surface of society, and that is all I know about the synopsis. It sounds interesting, and yeah, I'm really excited to dive into this one. The book I have for this book haul is Wicked As You Wish by Rin Chapeko. Again, this came in my December 2019 Fairy Loot box, and this is an art copy. It comes out in March. So this one, I read the synopsis when I got my box, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds right up my alley. It is YA fantasy, and it is basically, as I would describe it, a combination of Once Upon a Time, the TV show, and Frozen. It follows our main character living in Avalon, who has to battle an evil snow queen. Sign me up. That sounds like everything I love. That's it for today's video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Be sure to let me know in the comments down below what books you guys picked up this month, as I would love to know. And as always, all my social media links are linked down below for you guys to check out if you'd like to follow me on any of those. All being said, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you guys soon for another video. Thanks for today. Bye!